So today I'm going to talk about all the different political and regulatory things that are happening with crypto, which is there is quite a lot happening on that front. So I also will put my opinion as to, what that might look like going forward and how that impacts us and things like that. So yeah, so first things first, um, there's a whole list of things here. So anyway, I'll start off with this is regards the regulations in Europe. It's called MiCA. The acronym is MICA. Sounds like Mica, but they say to pronounce it MiCA. And so I'm just going to show this it's just 1 minute 42 seconds of clip about someone from the European, the European Parliament or whatever they are, talking about this regulation.
Crypto assets are a relatively new asset class that is frequently in the news these days. They have a lot of interesting potential, but are also largely unregulated. That is one reason why we've seen they're associated with a lot of concerns in terms of consumer protection, market integrity, and financial stability. And these concerns have become quite clear in recent times. That is why the Commission 2 years ago put a proposal for regulation on the table, the Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation, MiCA, as is known in common terms. We welcome the agreement of the co-legislators on this important text. MiCA would, for the first time, bring the vast majority of the crypto assets that are currently unregulated within the regulatory fold and address the concerns to consumers, market integrity, and financial stability. It would do so by regulating the issuers of crypto assets, including stablecoins. It will also regulate the vast universe and ecosystem out there in terms of crypto asset service providers who provide services around crypto assets. And as a result, we will have a safe and sound framework that will allow these markets to develop on a sound footing, hence us reaping the innovative potential of these asset classes while addressing risks. This is the first comprehensive piece of regulation of crypto assets in the world, and we hope and trust that other regulators will follow suit, which will be important to address the risks fully of these markets that are global in nature.
Okay, so basically, Europe seemed to have taken the lead very much so on regulations, which I think it's a good thing. We don't need more rulers, but we certainly need some rules. If there were no road rules on the road, and much like just go to India and basically, if there is rules, they completely flout them, and it's complete chaos. It does seem to somehow work, but basically, you've got no guidelines. People just do whatever they want, and when it comes to money, you've got to have some kind of rules, because wherever there's money and there's unregulation, scammers will definitely take take advantage of that. And I know that there are, there's another kind of a scam, I could say, in inverted commas, and it's kind of like a legalized scam and the system itself. But we're not going to go there. This is about trying to bring crypto out of the shadows and into the light. It is going to be far more beneficial for us. And the very fact, like when you listen to that guy, there's a couple of things that stood out that I wanted to point out. One was they need to regulate so that they can create innovation around it, because the use case of blockchain, which was what creates crypto, is something they really badly want and they need. for efficiencies, for security, for lots of reasons. And we want it as well, maybe not for quite the same reasons as them, but ultimately blockchain is a great leveler, and it is going to be it's going to be very interesting to see how it all meshes together, and that's something that we just got to watch. But basically, they need an innovation spirit to recharge the economy based on production, not on financialization. The money printing in the world is what's created this financialization of the system, and that's why it's falling over. And it's part of the reason why it's falling over. And also, we have like I was going to say, in using an example of the internet, when the internet first came out, there was a huge amount of innovation, but a lot of the money, a lot of the resources, a lot of the spoils, if you like, if I use that term, went to big tech and big tech firms. Whereas this time it's going to be interesting. I think that the money should go in a more decentralized way because of the nature of blockchain. And because this is another iteration of the internet, it should move us closer towards what we need, which is like a constitution of the internet, which that term has been prophesized, or it's been given out before, and I really like that idea of having a constitution around our internet. And the blockchain is it's still using the internet. You still got to go into the internet. But once you go into the blockchain, you're going into a completely different kind of internet, a different kind of computing system. And so basically innovation. And you mentioned stable coins. Stable coins are made stable in the sense that they are pegged to the US dollar or the euro or whatever the currency is. But this MiCA in Europe, they are going to be regulated from next month, from June. So I think it's from June the 1st. So it's like a few days. So this is going to be good because it's going to set off, I think, a chain reaction. It's going to activate other countries to get up to speed. So that's basically MiCA. I don't think we need to go into all the finer details of it just yet. I haven't had enough time to really read. There's pages and pages of stuff in this legislation, and it's heavy going. But I think in times to come, not too distant future, we will get a good feedback as to how the regulations are actually working there, and then we can analyze that. We can do another presentation on are they actually fostering innovation? Is it fair? How is it working for the common people? And there's a lot of contention around things like self-custody. They don't see us as being responsible enough to custody our own money, which I find absolutely abhorrent and ridiculous, and so, yeah, we've got to basically see how they're going to address that. Things like staking as well. There's lots of other aspects. The identification part, digital ID and decentralized ID, and we really need to push for decentralized ID. But it's a bit early to tell yet how it's going to look. Anyway, now from that, we're going to move to America, and we have a lot going on in America. And America seems to be, is whatever America does, everyone else seems to follow. It seems to me like America is the top dog. I mean, it is, I guess it is the so-called superpower in the world, but yeah, it's obviously losing a lot of that super and a lot of that power, but it's still a significant, it has a significant weight in the world, and especially when it comes to the financial system. It is the largest economy, and they do have a very mature and established financial market. And clearly, there's a lot of players in there that want to keep the status quo. So there's a whole heap of cases going on. One of the big ones is the SEC, who it stands for the Securities and Exchange Commission. They are suing Coinbase. Coinbase is America's largest and regulated exchange. And they sued them saying that they are alleging that they are selling unregistered securities on their exchange. This is exactly what they attacked XRP with, Ripple the company, and the XRP token. They and they have basically won that case, all but a little piece regards selling to big investors, but the actual token is not a security. And so I would like to think that that sets a precedent and that Coinbase will win this one, but we don't know. We've got to be careful. But anyway, they scored a bit of SEC scored a bit of a minor victory because Coinbase tried to get it dismissed before going to trial. They said there's no case to answer, sort of thing. And this judge has said, yeah, there is something here, and we need to go to court over it. I'm not sure when that is, but it must be fairly imminent. And as far as the tokens that are concerned, that's in this article. The tokens that the SEC say are securities are Solana. Sol is the short name, but the full name is Solana, Cardano, Polygon, Matic, Filecoin, Sand, the Sand project. I think that's what it's called. Not sure. AXS, not sure what token that relates to. CHZ is Chiliz, a project called Chiliz. Flow is also called Flow. ICP, International Computer Protocol, Internet Computer Protocol, that stands for ICP. NEAR Protocol, VGX, I think that's Voyager, Dash, and Nexo. So if you're holding any of those tokens, I wouldn't worry too much. It doesn't seem to be stopping. I don't think it's holding us back, and I don't think you should rush off and sell them just because they are being implicated. But I'd say that once the case is cleared up, and certainly if it's in our favor, then the prices will definitely go I think they will start to move pretty fast. But we have to see what happens. Anyway, these are the alleged tokens that are securities. It's interesting how they pick those out, and there's a whole lot of other tokens that look much the same or doing very similar things or have a very similar setup, and yet they're not there. So I think this is a political war going on between, basically the government or in this case, the SEC is part of the government against some of these private organizations that they see as a danger to their established political financial norm, if you like. These ones maybe they see as outliers, or they see as dangerous, or they just, who knows, they might have just picked them out randomly out of the hat. I don't know. But I would say that there are certain operators within these projects that are, you could say on the other team, not going with the product with the agenda that the American government want them to do. So I know, like, for instance, Charles Hoskinson of Cardano, he's very outspoken and very, very much a libertarian freedom advocate. He's very outspoken against the government and what they're trying to do. Also, with Cardano, they're presenting real opposition to Ethereum. And I think Ethereum is one of their preferred projects. And you've got Coinbase, you've got JP Morgan behind Ethereum, and they are investors in ConsenSys. The company is called ConsenSys that runs a lot of the Ethereum project. So I'd say, yeah, why not just attack the competition? That's just an example. But there'll be all different reasons, and we'll probably never know what they are. Now speaking of ConsenSys, now what's really interesting, in amongst what I've just said, the SEC are suing ConsenSys as well. ConsenSys is suing the SEC. However, they are suing them because the SEC sent what's called a Wells notice to ConsenSys, which is, Wells notice means, by the way, we are going to sue you because you're selling our security. It's interesting that ConsenSys controls, I believe the lawsuit isn't so much around Ethereum, funnily enough, it's around the wallet called MetaMask. And the MetaMask wallet is the Ethereum wallet. And what they're saying is that because you're allowing staking on the wallet, that is like a security because people are making money off the staking. So ConsenSys have decided to preempt them and just sue them before the SEC sues them. They're suing them first. So there's obviously some argy-bargy there. Just says here, like, ConsenSys has filed a lawsuit against the US Securities and Exchange Commission tied to the regulation of the Ethereum blockchain, the crypto firm said. The regulation of the industry has become a contentious issue as the sector's biggest companies, including Coinbase Global, allege the SEC does not have jurisdiction on the grounds that crypto tokens are not securities. The US markets watchdog has been attempting to unlawfully regulate, either through ad hoc enforcement actions against ConsenSys and possibly others. ConsenSys said it was looking for the court's confirmation that the SEC does not have legal authority to regulate the user-controlled software interfaces built on Ethereum or the Ethereum blockchain. The SEC does not currently regulate the crypto asset. It has yet to approve multiple applications of exchange-traded funds seeking to track its spot price. Well, that has now come out, and Ethereum have got approval now to do the exchange traded fund. So that is a change since this article. So basically what they're saying is the SEC is going outside its bounds of jurisdiction, and that basically this is a power grab, and it's an attempted power grab, and they're being the bully basically. And I guess the SEC does have a lot of power, but now they really are overstepping the mark, mainly because they've been told to by the ones higher up, because they do not want, they want to at least slow this the crypto adoption down. They want less people like us getting in there. They want to control it that their way. They can earn more money for themselves, more corruption, and it will greatly restrict the amount of tokens that will be able to meet their stiff regulatory requirements as well. So there's a whole heap of reasons, but this is not actually suing. This is not saying Ethereum per se is a security in this. The fact that they've allowed the Ethereum ETF is basically signaling that they see Ethereum as a commodity, the same as Bitcoin. So it's very messy. You can see how it's all it's very difficult to find out what's really going on and who's on whose side. We can just follow what we can see, and that's all we can really do. So, and moving on to the next thing is SEC have also sent a Wells notice to Robinhood. Robinhood are they're kind of like a marketplace of buying and selling shares, and you can buy and sell all sorts of different financial stuff, stocks and bonds and stuff, I think. Mainly stocks. And now they're getting into crypto. So they are also on the block to be sued. It's interesting that SEC, they're challenging these bigger players. So clearly, they're signaling that they're not afraid to go for the bigger ones. They've been taking out smaller ones as well, but Robinhood are pretty big, pretty established, but they have indicated their intention to fight. As it says here, as Robinhood legal compliance and corporate lead Dan Gallagher noted in a statement, the firm has been in direct communication with the SEC over its crypto offerings for years, which is exactly what you'd expect from a firm that really only dabbles in crypto. It's not clear from the letter which tokens are considered securities by the SEC, though it's worth noting the brokerage proactively delisted a number of tokens, including Solana, Polygon, Matic, and Cardano, in response to previous SEC lawsuits against rival trading firms. And I'd say that's in response to the Coinbase situation. So so that's interesting. So even though they've been communicating with the SEC, this is what a lot of other firms were complaining about. You go in there, you communicate with them, and then the SEC just turns around and sues them. Just exactly what happened with Ripple as well. They did the same thing. They were checking in with them to see that they were doing the right thing, and then the SEC just decides just to throw a lawsuit at them. So it's pretty cutthroat. It's pretty hard ass, hard nosed. So that's kind of what we're having to deal with, what they have to deal with as well. I'll read this other paragraph here. We firmly believe that the assets listed on our platform are not securities, and we look forward to engaging with the SEC to make clear just how weak any case against Robinhood Crypto would be on both the facts and the law. So they're going to follow XRP and Ripple's lead here. Gallagher said, he noted in particular the firm's years of good faith attempts to work with the SEC for regulatory clarity. And like other crypto firms in legal limbo, well known attempt to come in and register. So they're luring them into a trap, or pretty much. So yeah, so that's quite interesting that he is using that language. There's clearly they're clearly in a war of words, and this is all part of the bigger war I think that we're in, the psychological war. This game theory that's been played out is really quite getting pretty heated up. I'll have to say that. So yeah, so basically, this is following the similar pattern that SEC always do. It's their kind of playbook. So, but this is good in a way for us and for the industry, because it's bringing right out into the open. People can see what's going on. Clearly, if all crypto was a scam, they wouldn't be looking to be regulating it. That's for sure. So and when, like the guy from the European Commission talking, we want to spur on innovation. They well know that some of these cryptos and blockchains are going to have a seriously big use case, and they just don't want us to be basically a part of it. But they have to clear the way. They have to clear the way along this path. That's about the only way they know how. Another thing that I thought is interesting is that back in the internet boom days in the early 2000s, all those big four big tech firms were sued as well. Every one of them: Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. They've all been through lawsuits. So I think what they do also is they sue the bigger boys to make, for optics, to make it look like to the people, oh, well, they're taking on the big guys, so they're doing their job and they're reining them in and all this sort of stuff. And then, of course, what happens is they get the regulation, and then boom, their company takes off. So there is definitely interesting. That's an interesting thing to take note of, is they sue the bigger ones. It seems to be a pattern, but I think that they probably a lot more, not all of them. I don't know, but I would say those firms know it's coming and it's part of the deal. If you're going to be in this space, playing in the big sand pit, then you've got to deal with the lawsuits. But then, because they know on the back side of it, they've got a clear runway to really massively create a huge business. Now, this other bill that got put through Congress in America, an act or a bill that they're trying to get through, the FIT21 Act. Basically, what that means is, before they even get to regulating actually crypto. They're figuring out, well, who is gonna do the regulating, and they're clearing the way so that they're trying to rein in the SEC and stick them in their own lane, which is where what they're saying is that crypto that is not sufficiently decentralized will be a security, and therefore under the umbrella of the SEC, and crypto that are seen as properly decentralized, they will go with the CFTC, which is the Commodities Future Trading Commission, and they will regulate them as a commodity. How they're going to decide, there is a statement about how they're going to decide decentralization. I did mention this on Monday. I think it's 20% of the token. No one single holder can have more than 20% of the tokens. Otherwise, it's seen as centralized. So I think that they're at least making an attempt to kind of follow the decentralized process. And what they say is that there can be no single point where everyone is making all the decisions. It's got to be spread out amongst the token holders. So that's kind of interesting and sort of positive thus far. So we have to see how this, how again, it's a bit early to tell how it's going to land. But I think once this bill is easily passed the House in America, what they call the House, Congress, now it's going to the Senate, and that's where it's going to be up for a much more important vote. But for all accounts, it looks like it's going to go through, and then they can get to work on actually creating the crypto regulation or the regulations. And I know that they're also working on a stablecoin bill in America. Stable coins, you could well see we could well see some regulations come out around that fairly soon in the next few months, because with Europe bringing theirs out next month, then now it's activating. It is activating America to get their act together. I actually think that America are purposely being last in this because they are getting a good look at what all the other countries are doing. They're getting a good look at the companies that they don't like as well. They're getting to see how crypto is, how it's evolving and what other countries are doing. I think America's just purposely being a bit slow, but this is all part of the plan. And then they will come in with a hiss and a roar at the end. And when they do, that's when we're going to see a drive for mass adoption. The mass adoption is going to spur obviously a massive buying frenzy at some stage once it becomes common knowledge. And it's all going to happen at a very similar time frame to the collapse of the old system. They're going to have to somehow move from the old into the new and then coordinate it with letting us know and bringing in the regulations and dealing with all of the many things that are going to be going on in the world. So there is going to be a time where the banks will go offline, I think, for what they call a bank holiday for 3 or 4 days. And then when they come back up, they will be crypto enabled. And then this is also dovetailing with the global open banking regulations that are coming in as well. Open banking is also paving the way for crypto. It's already been used silently in the background so they can do their real-time payments, which that came in late last year. We started getting instant payments on the internet, and we're going to see a lot of other changes happening around open banking. I have been on a couple of Zooms now with this company, Payments New Zealand. They're the ones who are project managing the whole rollout of open banking to the banks here. But it's also going to mean fintechs, crypto firms are going to be able to plug in to the same to us to offer the similar services. So banks are going to have competition. Banks are also outsourcing payments. They seem willingly handing over the whole payment services aspect to smaller firms to let them handle it, whereas the banks are obviously got a plan for other things. And I know one of them is going to be crypto custody, custodying our crypto is going to be offered as well. And so there's going to be a ton of things happening from now on right through till 2025 into 2026. There's going to be a lot happening. Some of the other things, I've got a list here of other things that were relevant that have happened, and these all just happened in the last few weeks or literally the last few weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. On top of everything I've just mentioned, the Ripple case is coming to a close very soon about, preferred investors and whether that was a security contract. Wasn't about that XRP as a security. It's the fact that they gave preference to some bigger investors and whether the contract itself was a security contract. So that when that comes to a close, that's going to be massive. It's going to be a very, very big precedent-setting event for the whole of crypto, because perception is that it's still going on and it hasn't been decided. XRP itself is not a security, and that's actually the only token that has full legal clarity right now, proper inscribed in law. It's the only token. SEC are also suing Uniswap. Uniswap is a decentralized exchange, and they claim, and it's not surprising they've gone for the decentralized exchanges because they want them on centralized exchanges where they can monitor what's happening. So Uniswap are fighting back on that as well. There's another bill going through American Congress, which I believe is passed. It was called the anti-CBDC bill, which sounds good. And I know Trump has also said he would never support a CBDC, but I still don't believe that they're just going to drop it. They're gonna put it under a different term, a different name. They'll just go underground, and I think they'll use the stable coin concept as their CBDC, and they'll just drop the C part and just make it like a bank currency. So instead of being tied to the central bank, they will get the other banks to do the dirty work for them. They'll still be there. They'll have their own agreements, and the central bank will still be heavily involved. But this bill puts the kibosh on a CBDC as it stands at the moment. But yeah, I don't trust them at all, and I want to see how that plays out. What else happened? Well, yeah, we know that Trump, speaking politically, Trump came out and endorsed crypto. He said he wouldn't touch the right for people to self-custody their own crypto, which obviously a lot of people wanted to hear. It's a pretty big statement. And he said that he would basically regulate it fairly, and he wants to have a good look at it, but he's all for crypto. So yeah, we'll have to see. We'll see if he can hold to his word. And the SARB 21, that was another SEC thing where it was SARB, SAB stands for Staff Accounting Bulletin. And they number them, and it just happened to be 21. It's got nothing to do with anything other than it's just in a sequence. And where they were trying to slip through some underhanded dealings there where they were preventing, it was another interesting, ironic thing. They were trying to prevent banks and big institutions from holding crypto. Because if they did hold them, then they would be taxed on them. Even if they're holding them for other people, they would have to be listed on their balance sheet, which would make it nigh on impossible for them to do that, because they'll be paying tax on something that they aren't even owning per se. So again, I thought interesting how they are not wanting banks to hold it, whereas you think that they would be giving them the green light. So something interesting is going on there. I would say that's probably because they don't want all the smaller banks. They were trying to stop the smaller banks of holding it, and they would probably have some law where the top banks could hold it only, or their own preferred institutions. And they would, because it's well known that they're trying to consolidate the banking industry, and they want the smaller and medium banks to go so that they can have their one world banking system. It's all part of their One World initiative and the New World Order, under the loose term New World Order. So yeah, so anyway, they got soundly defeated on that, and banks and any other big institutions can hold crypto on behalf of other people. And the fact is, a lot of people, when they come into crypto, they won't have a clue how to get the wallet, and they won't want to take the risk. And, I reckon 70% of the population will rush to have banks or whatever hold their crypto for them. Whereas for us, we've got a bit of a head start, so we obviously aren't going to hand over our crypto to them anytime soon. I'm certainly not going to. Yeah, so basically that's and then you've got places like Dubai, Hong Kong, Singapore, UK, which is sort of part of Europe, I guess. But they're all really, really pro crypto. They're really pushing it. They're making it very attractive for firms to go move there so they can develop their blockchain-based companies. So I don't know too much about what the regulations are, but I just know that they are quite friendly, relatively. And this will be also influencing America and pushing things along. because as more and more people get into crypto, the harder it is for them to regulate it the way they want. There's the more people that find out about the benefits of decentralization, self-custody, all the things that we're trying to do for freedom and independence, that's not on their agenda. They do not want us learning that. So at some stage, they're going to have to, they've got to come clean and announce to the world what's really happening here. So that's we're in a very finely balanced period now, obviously in the whole world, but when it comes to the financial system, that's the key thing that they need to control. They need to control, whoever controls the new financial system is going to be in the power seat. And with the BRICS nations, what the BRICS are doing is they're pushing their regulations through as well and getting them drafted. And that's another big factor that I think is playing out here. The Reserve Bank of Russia has come out and said they're going to use Ripple. They're going to use that. They come out and said they're going to be creating a digital, they're going digital with their currencies. You've already got the Chinese yuan. It's already gone digital. So that is also playing out in this game theory. They're playing a major game here of chicken and preemptive kind of sort of moves and counter moves, and it's all very complex. That aspect of how that's going to come out eventually, there's going to be winners and losers, and then we're going to carry on in a more semblance of order once the dust settles. And this fight could take another 2 or 3 or 5 years yet. 2030 was always the goal for the one world, and this United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. 2030 is a very key year for them to get these agendas done. Climate change initiatives, ESG, smart cities. I mean, you can go on and on. And so, so they're obviously on a mission. And so that's kind of where we're at with the whole regulatory thing. I think what we're going to see is, because this year, I think throughout this year, I've mentioned it before, we're in a bull run now, but the prices haven't taken off yet. They haven't taken off anywhere near what they could do. I think now that Ethereum has its ETF and the US Treasury has signaled that starting today, they are going to start pumping a lot of money into the system. They're going to be pumping liquidity, which what they call liquidity, or money is going to get pumped into the system. And that's what will drive crypto to boom times, because that money will find its way into the big boys and the big investors initially, and then they're the ones who are going to then put that money into crypto, and some of it will eventually find its way to us. And the more that they pump it in and pump the market up, the more that just the common people are going to see crypto starting to really go bananas. And so it's going to drag in a whole lot of retail people, and it will create this huge self-fulfilling prophecy. And as we get closer to regulations, they can't hold back. They can't hold back. They can't keep the quiet, because people are talking now everywhere. There's videos coming out now from big CEOs and digital heads of different big companies all saying, yep, we're in on crypto now. We're love the blockchain. We are doing this, we're doing that. I mean, that is starting to just come out everywhere. So obviously that narrative is filtering down and people are starting to go, oh, gee, what's happening here? Something's going on. And then as we move in through the year, I think the market will peak somewhere around late this year or early next year, maybe into the, even moving into the, maybe the closer to the middle of next year. And then I think there's going to be something happen and it's going to drop off the cliff. I actually think that everything will drop off the cliff because of some event in the world or events, and then we're going to have to endure some pain for a while, and then the whole mass adoption thing will start at some stage, will start to rev up later in 2025. I don't know exactly timeframes. I'm only sort of guessing, but there is got to be there's got to be something quite big happen to shift. You know, they're trying to shift our habits and our attention away from certain things and into new things, and so they need these events to get us to move. Could be a lockdown, it could be like a financial collapse, and if money dries up, you know, no one's going to be able to buy anything, let alone crypto, and certainly not stocks. There's also the problem with commercial real estate, which around the world is starting to really collapse majorly. Real estate in general is going to have its day, and that could be a fairly significant event as well. So basically that's when liquidity then will start drying up. Now everyone will just stop spending, stop investing, and yeah, we could endure quite a difficult period for a while until things get rebooted. And I don't know quite what the time frame is for that, but I do know that when eventually that is rebooted, it's going to be in a fully digital system. There'll be decentralization with centralization. There will be basically two kind of systems, and that's the way I see it. And we will just have to position ourselves best we can. And a lot of crypto will disappear. The ones that don't do anything, or that are not in favor, or badly managed, or they can't meet the regulations, or whatever. There's going to be a ton of crypto that will just get taken out. It could be also that the Tether USDT stablecoin, maybe they try to take that out. That'll be big enough to cause a very sharp drop. So they definitely got things up their sleeve, and we can't just rest on our laurels. Keep our crypto in our wallets. Don't just keep an eye on them. Go into your wallet every now and then because they usually need updates, but don't just hold strong and just endure what's coming. And then if you want to take profit though in the next few months, that's a good idea. But we have to address that as the time comes, because there's dangers around that as well. So nothing is safe right now. Well, we have to be just super vigilant and keep our eyes on the goal, on the vision, on the end game. So yeah, so basically that's pretty much what I've got for today. I will stop the recording there.